So, what if I told you that one of the most hyped blockchains out there today is actually the ghost of a failed dream from big tech? I'm serious. That's the story of Aptos. It's a project born from the ashes of Meta's huge global currency ambition, and honestly, it's aiming to change, well, everything.
And that's really the core idea here, you know? Think about it. Meta, yeah, Facebook, poured an insane amount of resources into this global currency they called Dime. Now, the project itself? Total flop. But the technology, the core tech, and the brilliant engineers who built it, they didn't just pack up and go home. Nope, they evolved.
So, in this explainer, we are going to dive deep. We're going to break down exactly what Aptos is, how its super powerful tech actually works, and tackle the big question. Can it finally solve the famous blockchain trilemma? You know, that tricky balance of speed, security, and scalability that has been a huge headache for, well, pretty much everyone else. All right, let's get into it.
Okay, first things first. Let's talk about the origin story. Where did this heavyweight contender even come from, and what makes it any different from the huge sea of other blockchains all fighting for the spotlight?
So, at its very core, Aptos is a Layer 1 blockchain. Think of it like the fundamental operating system, the Windows or Mac OS, for decentralized apps. The whole thing is built on two big promises: ridiculous speed and rock-solid safety. And the secret sauce for that safety? It's a really unique programming language called Move, and we'll get into why that's such a big deal in just a minute.
Yeah, the story really starts inside Meta's super ambitious Diem project. But when regulators basically shut the whole thing down, the core engineering team, they didn't give up. Instead, they took the incredibly powerful tech they'd already built, spun it out into its own company, and launched Aptos as an independent project in October 2022. And ever since then, their focus has been laser-sharp on one thing: relentless upgrades and pushing the absolute limits of what a blockchain can do.
All right, so now it's time to pop the hood and look at the engine. What is the engineering magic that lets Aptos claim this incredible performance? Honestly, this is where things get really interesting.
Okay, here's the best way to picture this. Most blockchains, they operate like a supermarket with just one checkout lane open. One. Every single transaction has to queue up and get processed one by one. Sure, it's orderly, but man, does it get slow and congested fast. Now, Aptos, it's like a massive superstore with dozens of checkout lanes all running at the exact same time. It processes transactions in parallel. That means it can handle a crazy amount of activity all at once, which makes it, you guessed it, incredibly fast.
The engine that powers all this is called Block STM, and it's an absolutely genius approach. See, instead of checking every single transaction for problems before processing it, Block STM does the exact opposite. It's optimistic. It just executes a massive batch of transactions all at once, assuming they're all fine. Then it goes back and validates them, finds the tiny handful that might have a conflict, and just reruns those few. So what's the result? The entire network doesn't grind to a halt because of a couple of problem transactions. It's a huge leap in overall speed.
But look, all that speed means absolutely nothing if it's not secure, right? And this is where that Move programming language comes in. It's a total game changer. It was designed from the ground up, literally from scratch, with one goal: prevent the common, costly bugs and exploits that have led to billions of dollars in losses on other blockchains. So for developers and for you, the user, this just creates a fundamentally safer and more trustworthy foundation to build and transact on. Okay, so every network needs fuel to run, right? For Aptos, that fuel is its native token, APT. So let's take a look at what it does and why it's so critical for the entire ecosystem.
The APT token really does three main things. First, you use it to pay for transaction fees. You know, the cost of doing literally anything on the network. Second, you can stake your APT tokens. This helps keep the network secure, and in return, you earn rewards. And third, holding APT gives you a say in governance. It lets you vote on important proposals that will literally shape the future of Aptos.
Now, here's a really crucial part of the token's design. What happens to all those transaction fees? They don't get paid out to miners or validators. Instead, they get burned. That means they are permanently destroyed, gone forever from the total supply. And this is a huge deal. It means that as more and more people use the network, more tokens are destroyed. This can create what's called deflationary pressure, which could potentially increase the value of all the remaining tokens over the long run.
So, okay, the tech is impressive, the token's design is interesting, but the billion-dollar question is anyone actually using this thing? Let's take a look at the real-world adoption.
Well, to get a sense of the scale we're talking about, just look at the market cap. Over $1 billion. This isn't some tiny GarageBand project anymore. No way. Aptos has already firmly established itself as a major player in the crypto space. And that value isn't just speculation. It's being driven by actual use. The DeFi, or decentralized finance scene on Aptos, is absolutely booming. I mean, a massive vote of confidence came from Aave, which is one of the biggest lending protocols in the entire crypto world. They chose Aptos for their very first expansion outside of an Ethereum-compatible chain. That's huge. On top of that, it's becoming a hotspot for tokenizing real-world assets, and you've got this super vibrant community that's constantly debating its performance against competitors like Sui. And that's exactly the kind of energy you want to see in a healthy, growing project.
So where's all this going? You can tell a lot about a project's real ambition by looking at its roadmap. Let's check out what Aptos has planned for the near future.
And let me tell you, their roadmap is absolutely packed with game-changing upgrades. They're bringing in scheduled transactions, which will let you automate things right on the chain. They're building a brand new consensus engine called Raptor to push performance even higher. And this is a big one. They're adding cross-chain support to link up with other networks. Plus, they're developing something called stateless accounts to slash data storage costs. All of this just makes the whole platform more powerful and way more accessible for everyone.
But of course, the road ahead isn't all smooth sailing. We've got to be realistic here. Aptos is facing some serious competition from absolute giants like Ethereum and other high-speed rivals. Plus, like any crypto asset, its price can be pretty volatile. And at the end of the day, its success really comes down to one crucial thing. Can it convince the world's best developers to come over and build the next big thing on its platform? That's the real challenge.
So when you put it all together, the amazing tech versus the very real risks, what does the future look like? Well, there are a few possible paths. The optimistic case, its unique mix of speed and security helps it become a dominant L1 for both DeFi and big business. A more moderate outcome, it finds its footing and really thrives in a few specific high-value markets. But then there's the difficult scenario, where the intense competition from all the other chains just proves to be too much and its growth stalls out.
And that brings us right back to where we started. That big question, is Aptos the future of Web3? A truly high-performance decentralized network that actually learned from the mistakes of big tech? Or is it destined to just be the ghost of that corporate project, never quite able to escape its past? I guess only time will tell.